This is Lorenzo, and this is the Training Space Taxonomy video series, lesson number 16. It's on our 12 equipment space. It's our final equipment accessory, the dowel. If you don't know what a dowel is, you're going to be pleasantly surprised because it is one of the most useful ways that we can increase our mobility using an added weight. The dowel is one of the best ways to do that. We're going to use the dowel for at least 6 weighted mobility exercises. Let's take a look. The dowel, as we see it here, is the fourth of 4 total stored accessory equipment items and also the final equipment piece that make up our home gym. These dowels serve as the weighted and positional support that we need for at least 6 exercises. Let's take a look at them now. For our first exercise, we have the butcher's block. Here I'm using the dowel as both positional support. It's putting my arms in the right position, but also weighted support, allowing me to get into a deep shoulder flexion stretch. For our second exercise, we have the fisherman's pose, or a weighted ankle mobility exercise. The dowel is giving us the weight we need to get into a deeper ankle stretch. For our third exercise, we have the overhead squat. The dowel is giving us the positional and the loaded support we need to get into a deep overhead squat, which is a ankle, hip, thoracic, and shoulder mobility drill. For our fourth exercise, we have the classic Jefferson curl. Here I'm using the dowel as loaded support, allowing me to get into a deeper hamstring and ankle dorsiflexion stretch. Next, we have the extension hang, a hamstring and shoulder extension stretch. The dowel is placing me both in position, but also giving me the load I need to get into a deep hamstring and shoulder extension stretch. As for our sixth and final loaded mobility exercise, we have the seated flexion. Here I'm using the dowel to give me both the positional support, so it's putting my arms in position, but also giving me enough load to articulate and open up those shoulders. We can classify all or most loaded mobility dowel-based exercises in at least 2 categories. Our first category is a store bar-based dowel exercise, the butcher's block, as we saw earlier. As for our second and final category, we have floor-based dowel exercises giving us positional support, such as the fisherman's pose, the overhead squat, Jefferson curl, extension hang, and our seated flexion. Moving on to the specifications column in our matrix, we saw that the primary function for the dowel is to provide us with the positional and loaded support for our mobility exercises. We recommend dowels made up of the following materials: steel with padded foam. Now you can buy a dowel that is wooden. Most commonly people use dowels that are wooden and then they add fractional plates to them. Now, because they come into fixed weights, I do recommend buying at least 2. But I think when you buy these types of dowels, they come in sets of 3. In that case, I recommend you buy a set of 3 with the following weights: 2 kilograms, 4 kilograms, and 8 kilograms. The reason for this is you'll find it's more comfortable to use a lighter dowel for exercises such as your butcher's block or even your extension hang, and the more heavier dowels for exercises such as the overhead squat, the Jefferson curl, and your seated flexion. As for our quick equipment guide, in other words, where will we use it, what can we pair with it, and where will we store our dowels? Well, as we saw, we will use our dowels in one of 2 primary places. First, the store bar for our butcher's block, and in our open floor zone, either on the mat or on the floor itself. We will therefore do many of our weighted mobility exercises on a mat, but also as a bonus equipment item, we can use a slant board for exercises such as our Jefferson curls. Finally, it's common to store your dowels against the wall, as you see mine here, and I'll do so in my open floor zone along with my box, parallettes, blocks, my knee pad, and as a bonus item, your slant board. So in summary, our dowel serves as the positional and weighted support that we need to do at least 6 loaded mobility exercises.